Chosen one. Listen carefully. This is not coincidence. This is not an algorithm, it is divine intervention. Heaven has pressed pause around you so you can hear this moment in full. You have been weighed. You have been tested. And you have passed. The confirmation of God has reached you. And now the veil is lifting. You are not who people thought you were. You are not the name they called you. You are more. You are chosen. And it is time to tell you everything. For so long, you questioned why your path was heavier, why your nights were longer, why you carried storms inside your chest that others could not see. The answer is simple yet profound. You were in training. Every sleepless night, every rejection, every betrayal was a test of endurance, faith, and spirit. While others around you fell into the traps of compromise, you held the line. And because of that, you stand today as one marked by heaven. Hear me now, when others mocked you. They did not realize they were mocking one whom God himself had set apart. When you were overlooked, they did not understand that the throne of eternity had its eye on you. What was denied to you was never meant for you, because greater has been reserved in silence, waiting for this moment of unveiling. Chosen one. This is the moment heaven whispers your true identity. You are stepping out of shadows into recognition, not by men, but by the hand of God. The old cycle is broken. The hidden years are over. And now, destiny begins to roar in your bones. We find in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. That valley you endured was never your grave. It was your proving ground. It was where you learned to hear the whisper of God in the midnight hour. It was where you learned that even stripped of everything, you were never stripped of His presence. And today, that presence lifts you. Chosen one. Do not doubt this. Heaven is speaking directly to you. The door that once seemed locked is shifting open. The silence you endured was not abandonment, it was the sound of God carving space for your new beginning. He was not late, He was precise. And today, precision meets destiny. This is the moment to rise. You cannot remain seated in the dust of yesterday when a crown waits to be placed upon your head. You are entering a season where you will see with clarity, speak with authority, and walk with unshakable boldness. But pause and hear this call. If this word stirs something in your spirit, if you feel the vibration of truth echoing in your chest, then act now. Do not let this moment pass as another fleeting word on a screen. Take a stand. Share this message so another chosen one may awaken. Press the like so the light multiplies against the shadows. Subscribe so you never miss the flow of divine direction prepared for you. And type boldly in the comments, 77 as a prophetic act, declaring that you receive this confirmation. This is not entertainment. This is not noise. This is the sound of your awakening. And heaven is watching for your response. Chosen one. Now that the first veil has been lifted, you must see the weight you carried for what it truly was. Every hidden burden, every silent tear, every moment you whispered to God in secret, none of it was wasted. You thought you were merely surviving, but in truth, you were walking through divine training grounds. What seemed like crushing weight was actually the sculpting hand of heaven, shaping you into one who could withstand storms others would never endure. Think of the nights when you lay awake, wondering if God heard you. Think of the moments when you prayed and silence was the only answer that returned. You believed perhaps you were forgotten, but the truth is that silence was not absence. It was sanctification. God was drawing you deeper, removing every false anchor, so that when you rose unshakable, rooted not in people, not in systems, not in fleeting promises, but in Him alone. The world looked at your scars and saw weakness. Heaven looked at those same scars and saw inscriptions of endurance, proof that you had been refined by fire. For every loss, you gained a secret strength. For every rejection, you were handed a piece of wisdom. For every betrayal, a layer of discernment was sharpened within you. Nothing was wasted. Chosen, one nothing. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 2, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. That is the truth you are stepping into now. While others grew weary and gave up halfway, you pressed on, even when crawling. You moved forward, even when your strength was gone. Your hope remained, and that hope has now positioned you to rise, to spread wings you did not even know had been growing in secret. Understand this clearly. The weight you carried was proof of your assignment. God does not put the heaviest battles on the weakest shoulders. He entrusts them to those He has already seen as capable, even when they do not yet see themselves that way. That is why so much was demanded of you. That is why the pressure was relentless. You were not being crushed, you were being commissioned. There were moments when people whispered about you, calling you strange, calling you different, calling you too much. They could not understand that heaven had set you apart, that the fire burning in you was not man-made, but divine. Do not resent the misunderstandings anymore, for they were part of your sanctification. Isolation was never rejection, it was refinement. God had to separate you so He could strengthen you without interference. Now, beloved, you can look back and see that every weight was a doorway. It carried hidden lessons, concealed treasures, and sharpened tools for the destiny now at hand. You have survived what many could not, and the very things that once threatened to break, you have instead become the foundations of your power. The tears watered the soil of your calling. The losses carved space for abundance. The silence trained your ears to hear the whisper of God more clearly than the roar of the world. Do not despise the wait anymore. Embrace it as holy preparation. You passed the test, not because you were perfect, but because you endured. And endurance is the signature of the chosen. You are now stepping into the season where what once burdened you will testify on your behalf. The very weight that seemed unbearable has become the evidence of your unshakable spirit. Chosen one, it is time to confront a truth you may have sensed deep in your spirit. You were marked from the beginning, before your first breath, before you ever entered this world. Heaven had already inscribed your name in the book of destiny. That is why life has never felt ordinary to you. That is why, no matter how hard you tried, you could never fully blend in. There has always been something different about you, something set apart, something unmistakably divine. You wondered why the patterns of others never worked for you. They could compromise and still succeed. But when you tried to take shortcuts, it collapsed. They could remain lukewarm and still be celebrated. But for you, every step away from truth weighed heavy in your spirit. That heaviness was not punishment, it was evidence. evidence that you belong to a kingdom not of this world. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Do you see it now, even before your first cry? Heaven had already whispered your assignment. You were not a mistake. You were not random. You were appointed. And because you carry this mark, the world has always responded to you with resistance. Darkness could see what even you could not. The enemy recognized your crown long before you were ready to wear it. This is why certain doors never opened. They were never your doors. This is why some people rejected you. They could not handle the light stitched into your soul. This is why battles appeared from nowhere. They were not random attacks. They were targeted strikes against one who carries heaven's seal. But here is the revelation, though marked. You were also hidden. God concealed you, so the enemy could not destroy you prematurely. That is why you felt overlooked, unseen, forgotten. It was divine protection. Like an arrow kept in a quiver, you were being preserved for the precise moment of release. That moment is now. Chosen one. Your life has carried prophetic weight. The visions that flickered in your spirit, the dreams that refused to die, the deep sense that you were meant for more. None of it was imagination. It was heaven's signature inside you. And now, what was once only a whisper is becoming a roar. Pause and breathe this in. The struggles you faced were never evidence of abandonment. They were confirmation of your identity. The fact that the enemy fought you so relentlessly is proof of the treasure you carry. You are chosen, marked, and preserved for impact. Now I ask you to respond not for me, but for heaven to see your agreement. Type in the comments, I am chosen. Do not let those 3 words slip past your spirit. Write them as a declaration, not just on a screen, but in your own heart. Each word carries power. I affirms your identity, your individuality, your divine uniqueness. Am anchors you in the present tense. This is not about what you will be, but what you already are. Chosen seals the truth that you are marked, appointed, and set apart for God's glory. Do not underestimate this act. When you write it, you are aligning your spirit with the truth heaven has spoken over you since the beginning. You are rejecting the lies that said you were unworthy. You are breaking agreement with the voices that called you average. And you are stepping into your birthright as one appointed by God. Chosen one. Remember this always. You were not born to blend in. You were born to stand out. You were not sent to mimic the patterns of the world. You were sent to disrupt them. You were not created to fade into silence. You were created to echo eternity. Chosen one. Now the truth deepens. You must understand that your journey has not been random or wasted. Every delay, every betrayal, every detour you endured was a hidden classroom. The hidden training ground of your soul has been harder than most could bear. But it was designed with precision. Heaven allowed what felt like loss to become the weight that sharpened your spirit. Think back to those who turned their backs on you when you needed them most. That was not mere rejection, it was redirection. Those who left your side created space for you to depend on God in ways you never would have if comfort had remained. The betrayals pierced you, but they also carved into you a deeper capacity for discernment. You now see with clarity what you could not see before. Delay was another tool in your training. You thought the door was closed forever when In truth, it was simply being sealed until the time was right. Heaven often keeps treasures behind time-locked doors, because premature access can destroy what was meant to bless. Every season where you cried out, asking why nothing was moving, was a season of strengthening. You were being taught patience, resilience, and faith that refuses to die in silence. Loss, too, has been your instructor. You wept over what you thought was stolen, but heaven was making room for what could not coexist with your destiny. Sometimes, the things you lost were never aligned with who you are becoming. If they had remained, they would have hindered the fullness of your assignment. Pain became pruning, and pruning always precedes fruitfulness. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. This verse is more than comfort. It is the foundation of your training. The hidden seasons stripped fear away from you. When you faced loneliness, you discovered that fear had no authority in the presence of God. When you walked through the shadows of uncertainty, you learned that your spirit could rest even when nothing around you made sense. In the absence of worldly security, you uncovered the truth that you are sustained by power, guided by love, and anchored by a sound mind. Chosen one. The hidden training ground is often misunderstood. Others saw your life and thought you were failing. They assumed you were stuck, abandoned, forgotten. But in reality, you were being refined in the secret place, prepared for stages they could not see. Like David tending sheep before facing Goliath. Like Joseph in prison before ruling Egypt. Like Esther in silence before stepping into the throne room, you too were being shaped by unseen hands. You have been in a spiritual boot camp. Though you may not have recognized it, the betrayals taught you to discern hearts. The delays taught you to wait with hope. The losses taught you to hold loosely to what can be shaken, and to cling tightly to what cannot. Every chapter has been equipping you with tools you will need in the days ahead. Understand this clearly. Nothing you endured was wasted. Every sleepless night became an altar where your spirit was forged. Every unanswered question became a lesson in trust. Every storm became a proving ground that now testifies you are unbreakable. The hidden training ground was never punishment. It was preparation. And now that the season of silence is ending, you will carry the fruit of endurance, wisdom, and unshakable faith into the assignment that awaits. Chosen one. You must now face the reason your journey has been filled with rejection. It was not because you were unworthy. It was not because you lacked value. It was because your very presence unsettles the darkness in others. The light inside you exposes what people would rather keep hidden. That is why they turned cold when you entered the room. That is why you were misunderstood when you spoke truth. That is why, no matter how much good you carried, some could not accept you. Your light terrifies darkness. It is not a light you asked for. It is a light that was entrusted to you. This glow of heaven cannot be hidden. Even when you tried to dim yourself, even when you attempted to shrink into silence, something about you still shone, and those who were comfortable in compromise felt convicted by your presence alone. Do not mistake their resistance for your failure. Their reaction is confirmation of your calling. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 18, the path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. And Do you see it? The light in you is not fading, it is increasing. The more you walk in alignment, the brighter it burns, and the brighter it burns, the more darkness trembles. You have wondered why certain people distanced themselves from you without explanation. It was not because you were unlovable. It was because the fire in you clashed with the shadows in them. Chosen one. Take courage. You do not need the approval of those who walked away. Heaven has already approved you. You do not need the applause of the crowd, for your Father in heaven has already crowned you in secret. The rejection you faced was never the end, it was the evidence. Evidence that you are light. Evidence that you are chosen. Evidence that your destiny carries weight far greater than you realized. Now I must tell you this with sincerity. The world needs this light to keep shining. There are others, like you once were, wandering in silence, unsure of why they feel different, unaware of why battles hunt them. They need to hear words like these so they too can awaken. If this message resonates in your soul, then let it flow beyond you. Share it, not for numbers, not for noise, but so another weary heart can recognize they are chosen too. When you press like, it is not about algorithms, it is about amplifying truth so that more eyes and ears catch the whisper of heaven. When you share, it is not about fame, it is about planting seeds of light in places you may never personally reach. And when you subscribe, it is not about following a voice, it is about staying connected to a stream of reminders that keep you anchored in your assignment. These simple acts, though small, are divine echoes. They ensure the message of light travels further, breaking chains in unseen places. Beloved, understand this. You were never meant to hide. You were never meant to apologize for your fire. Let your life be a living testimony that the light of heaven cannot be silenced, cannot be dimmed, cannot be denied. And when people resist you, remember, it is not truly you they resist. It is the light you carry. That same light that will guide others out of darkness. That same light that will pierce through lies. That same light that confirms once again, you are chosen. Chosen one. Pause and recognize this. Heaven has orchestrated this exact moment. Everything around you seems ordinary. Yet something within you knows this is not ordinary at all. This message is arriving with precision, like a letter sealed in eternity and delivered at the exact second you were ready to receive it. This is why you feel the weight of these words in your chest. It is not coincidence. It is divine timing. There are seasons in your life when everything seemed delayed, when doors stayed shut, when nothing made sense. You prayed and heard silence. You knocked and nothing opened. You wondered if heaven had forgotten you. But listen carefully. God does not forget his chosen. Heaven was not ignoring you. Heaven was pressing pause, not to harm you, but to prepare you. You see, when God pauses your life, it is because he is aligning pieces you cannot see. He is setting the stage, moving unseen forces, and orchestrating connections that must be in place before you step into your next assignment. If he had released you earlier, you would have walked into unprepared territory. If he had opened the door when you begged, what was waiting on the other side might have broken you. The pause was not denial. It was protection. It is written in the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 27, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. Chosen one. This is why you can rest, even in seasons of stillness. His peace was guarding you when your mind wanted to spiral. His peace was surrounding you when your heart wanted to break. His peace was whispering, "Not yet." When you wanted to run ahead, the pause was heaven's way of wrapping you in safety until the right time arrived. Think of this like a divine traffic light. You saw red and wondered why. Others sped past you and seemed ahead, and you felt behind. But what you didn't see were the collisions waiting on their path. Heaven was protecting you from destruction. And now, the light is shifting, the pause is lifting, the appointed time is arriving. Chosen one, you must anchor this truth when heaven pauses. It is never to waste time. It is to preserve destiny. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right on schedule with the rhythm of eternity. And now, because you have waited faithfully, because you did not give up in the silence, the gate before you is opening. You will see suddenly what was hidden. You will walk into rooms you once only dreamed of. You will carry authority you once only felt in glimpses. The pause has prepared you for power. Now, I ask you to respond as a prophetic act. Type the number 888 in the comments. This is not superstition, it is alignment. The number represents new beginnings and divine overflow. When you write it, you are declaring that the pause has ended and you are stepping boldly into what God has reserved for you. It is your way of saying, I receive my new season. This is your confirmation. This is your moment. The pause is over. And destiny is calling your name. Chosen one. You have walked through storms that were not meant for ordinary people. The winds that came against you were not random, they were strategic, designed to bury you. Yet here you stand. You are the evidence that what was sent to destroy you could not succeed. Every force that rose up, every weapon that was formed, every plan of darkness that was whispered in secret, it all failed. And you, beloved, survived. There were moments when you thought the storm would drown you. You felt the waves crash. You felt the thunder roar. And you wondered if this was the end. But deep in those moments, something inside you refused to break. It was not your own strength. It was the hand of God holding you above the flood. And because of that, you emerged not as a victim of the storm, but as one refined by it. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. And this was true in your past, and it remains true now. You see, the reason you survived what others could not is because the Lord Himself stood with you in the battle. He did not abandon you to fight alone. Even when you felt silent, even when you saw no sign, His presence surrounded you like a shield. You survived, not because you were stronger, but because He was faithful. Chosen one, take a moment and recognize how many storms you have endured. Financial storms that threatened to collapse your stability. Emotional storms that tried to break your mind. Spiritual storms that targeted your faith. Yet, through them all, something within you kept rising again and again. You may have crawled. You may have stumbled. But you did not surrender. Understand this, your survival is not ordinary. Many faced what you faced and did not rise again. But you did. And that is because your life carries a destiny that could not be buried. The storms revealed the depth of your spirit. They uncovered strength you did not know you carried. They proved that your roots run deeper than the surface. Now, as you look back, you can see that every storm carried a hidden gift. The pain birthed compassion. The loss birthed resilience. The betrayal birthed discernment. And the silence birthed intimacy with God. Without those storms, you would not have the strength you now carry. Without those storms, you would not see with the clarity you now hold. The enemy thought he was breaking you. In reality, he was building you. He thought he was burying you. In truth, he was planting you. And like a seed buried beneath the soil, you have now begun to rise, stronger and more fruitful than ever. Chosen one, understand the testimony of your life. What others could not endure, you endured. What others could not carry, you carried. And it was not because of chance. It was because heaven had already decided that you would live to tell the story. You are walking proof of divine preservation. So now, walk with confidence. The storms that once terrified you have lost their power. You know now that even in the fiercest winds, you are not abandoned. You know now that no matter how heavy the rain falls, the hand of God will hold you. And you know now that every storm that rises against you will only strengthen the light you carry. You survived. Chosen one. And survival was never the end. It was the beginning of your rising. Chosen one. There is something you have carried within you since the earliest days. Something you could never quite explain to others. At times it felt like a burden. At times like a fire you could not put out. At times like dreams too heavy for your own heart to hold. This was not imagination. This was prophecy woven into your very bones. From your youth, you sensed things others did not. You dreamed dreams that lingered long after you woke. You felt warnings in your spirit before events unfolded. You carried a weight for people, for places, for nations you had never even seen. All of this was evidence that your spirit was tuned to a higher frequency, one that ordinary souls could not comprehend. It is written in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 28, "And afterward, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions." Moses, chosen one. This verse explains what you have lived. You carry prophecy in your bones. Heaven has entrusted you with glimpses of what is coming, with burdens that compel you to intercede, with visions that call you into deeper realms of obedience. This is why your life has never been simple. When others sleep peacefully, you wrestle with dreams too real to ignore. When others move carelessly, you feel the weight of decisions echo in your spirit. You were never designed to live lightly. You were designed to carry. That is why the dreams come. That is why the visions visit. That is why your heart aches for things beyond your immediate world. You have been entrusted with heavenly intelligence, and though at times it feels too heavy, it is proof of your calling. Chosen one. There is something sacred about the way prophecy works within you. It does not always come with thunder and lightning. Sometimes it comes as a whisper in the night. Sometimes it comes as an ache you cannot explain. Sometimes it comes as a knowing you cannot shake. And though others dismiss it, you know it is real because heaven has confirmed it again and again. Do not despise this gift, even when it feels like a burden. The visions that burn within you are not accidents, they are assignments. The dreams that return night after night are not random, they are blueprints. The weight you carry for people you hardly know is not strange, it is intercession rising from within you. You carry prophecy, and prophecy always costs something. That is why your path has been narrow. That is why your nights have been long. That is why you often feel misunderstood. Those who do not carry this gift cannot understand the fire that consumes you. But heaven understands. God Himself placed it inside you, and He does not make mistakes. Chosen one, do not run from it anymore. Do not silence it to fit in. Do not bury it just to feel normal. You were never meant to be normal. You were meant to be prophetic, to see what others cannot, to hear what others will not, to declare what others fear. Embrace it now, even when it feels heavy, because the very visions that stretch you will soon guide you. The very dreams that haunt you will soon equip you, and the very burdens that break your heart will soon save lives. You carry prophecy in your bones, and it is time to recognize it as the holy gift it has always been. Chosen one. Have you ever wondered why the battles against you have felt relentless? Why the attacks came not once but again and again, often without pause? It is because the enemy knows what you carry. Darkness has studied you since birth. Long before you understood your own identity, the adversary recognized the seal of heaven upon your life, and this terrified him. The moment you were born, the battle began. From childhood, you faced opposition, others did not. From youth, you bore wounds that seemed unexplainable. It was not random, it was targeted. The enemy sought to break you early, to silence you before you ever discovered your voice, to chain you before you could learn to walk in freedom. It was proclaimed in the first letter of Peter, chapter 5, verse 8. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Chosen one. The enemy prowled near you because he recognized the danger you posed to his kingdom. He saw your crown long before you were ready to wear it. He understood your destiny, even when you doubted it, and so he unleashed storms, temptations, betrayals, and lies to discourage you, to trick you into laying down your calling. But here is the truth he does not want you to realize. Every attack that was sent against you only proved that you are chosen. He does not waste his energy on those who pose no threat. The intensity of your battles is confirmation of your assignment. The darkness fears your light. Think of the nights you felt crushed under the weight of despair. Think of the times you almost surrendered to hopelessness. Think of the battles no one else knew you were fighting. Those were not random struggles. They were signs of war against one carrying heaven's fire. And yet, through it all, you endured. You stand today as living evidence that the enemy failed. Chosen one. Never forget this. You are dangerous to darkness. Your prayers disrupt plans you cannot even see. Your presence alone shifts atmospheres. Your voice carries authority even when you whisper. That is why attacks have been so strategic against you, because the enemy trembles at the thought of you rising to full awareness of who you are. And now you are rising. You are awakening to your identity. You are beginning to see that what once felt like endless warfare was actually heaven's confirmation. You are not weak. You are not defeated. You are crowned, chosen, and unstoppable. Now, I invite you to respond with faith. Type in the comments, "I hear you." These 3 words are more than a comment. They are a declaration. They say to heaven, I am listening. I am awake. I receive this word. They echo back to God that you are not deaf to his voice, not blind to his hand, not numb to his calling. Do not underestimate this act. When you write it, you break agreement with despair. You silence the enemy's lie that you are abandoned. You declare that your spirit is tuned to the voice of the Lord. These words become a prophetic echo, announcing that you are alert, you are aware, and you are ready. Chosen one. Your enemy fought hard because he feared what you carry, but he has already lost. And you, by standing here today, alive, unbroken, and still seeking truth, you have already won. Chosen one. The time has come to understand the crown that rests upon your head. You have been through testing, through refining fire, through storms that could have ended you. But now you are stepping into the next phase. This is not survival anymore. This is assignment. This is the moment when heaven hands you the mantle of leadership and influence that has been waiting all along. You may not see yourself as a leader, but heaven sees differently. Leadership is not about titles. It is about impact. It is about carrying authority in the unseen realm that causes the atmosphere to shift when you walk into a room. It is about having a voice that carries weight, not because of volume, but because of the fire of truth embedded in it. Chosen one. That is who you are. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 8, verse 37 declare, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. This is not just encouragement, it is identity. You are more than a conqueror because your assignment is greater than just winning battles. You are called to wear the crown, to guide others, to carry light where shadows have ruled for too long. The crown is not made of gold alone, it is forged in sacrifice, in resilience, in the endurance that has marked your journey. Chosen one. You must see that the battles you survived were not just for you. They were for the sake of those you are now meant to lead. Your testimony will become their roadmap. Your scars will become their comfort. Your wisdom will become their shield. And your crown will be the evidence that God raises the humble and seats them in places of influence. Do not shrink from this. You were not meant to hide in the background. The mantle upon you requires visibility, not for pride, but for purpose. There are lives attached to your obedience, destinies connected to your courage, generations waiting for your voice. The time to stay silent has ended. The crown demands that you rise. And beloved, if these words stir you, if you sense the truth of your own assignment pressing upon your spirit, then let your action be part of your agreement. Press like, not for me, but as a sign that you are aligning yourself with this truth. Share this message, not out of obligation, but because somewhere another chosen one sits in silence, waiting for the confirmation that you are receiving right now. When you share, you extend the reach of light. And subscribe if you have not already, not to follow a man, but to stay connected to a flow of words heaven has appointed for this season of your life. These small acts may seem simple, but in the unseen realm, they carry weight. They amplify truth. They create pathways for awakening. They allow what heaven speaks to travel farther, faster, deeper. And chosen one, your obedience in even small things is part of the crown you now wear. Do not despise where you are. You may still feel unnoticed, but the crown is already upon your head. You may not yet see the full assignment, but heaven has already commissioned you. Walk forward with confidence. Your steps are no longer ordinary. They are the movements of one crowned with purpose. This is your assignment now, to shine, to guide, to rise. The crown is not decoration. It is declaration. You are chosen to lead. You are chosen to influence. You are chosen to change the atmosphere wherever you go. Chosen one. When the crown rests upon your head, it does not come alone. Along with it comes a mantle of authority, a recognition in the unseen realm that your rank has shifted. You may not notice it immediately, but heaven does, and so does the kingdom of darkness. Angels respond to your prayers with greater speed, because your voice now carries a new weight. And when you speak against the plans of darkness, your words strike with sharper force than before. This mantle is not something you earned through striving. It is something you received through endurance. Every trial you endured, every season you walked faithfully, every time you refused to give up, these were the stepping stones that positioned you for this moment. Heaven has observed, tested, and confirmed you. And now, the mantle of authority rests firmly upon you. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 58. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. And this scripture explains the essence of your mantle. Your labor was never in vain. Even when you thought no one saw, heaven saw. Even when you thought no one cared, heaven cared. Every whispered prayer, every act of obedience, every sacrifice made in silence has now manifested into a mantle that shifts realities. Chosen one. Understand what this means. When you pray now, angels are dispatched, not as a favor, but as an assignment. When you speak truth, it pierces deception more deeply than before. When you declare freedom, chains begin to rattle. This is not exaggeration. It is the reality of walking under heaven's authority. And yet, this mantle also requires humility. Authority is never about domination. It is about service. You are not lifted so you can boast. You are lifted so you can lift others. The mantle is given to protect, to guide, to break barriers that others cannot. It is not a trophy. It is a responsibility. Chosen one. The authority you now carry will cause you to see differently. You will walk into rooms and sense what is hidden. You will meet people and discern their unspoken battles. You will hear conversations and feel the truth behind the words. The mantle sharpens your discernment, heightens your awareness, and strengthens your resolve. This is why life cannot remain the same for you. Ordinary living will no longer satisfy. You cannot return to the shadows of compromise when the mantle rests upon your shoulders. You cannot bury your gift when heaven has amplified it. You cannot pretend to be powerless when you are now recognized in the heavens as a carrier of authority. Chosen one. The mantle upon you also marks a shift in your lineage. What oppressed your family will no longer oppress you. What silenced your ancestors will no longer silence you. The cycle breaks with you because the mantle grants you authority to stand where others fell. This is generational impact, and it flows not just to you, but through you. You may feel the weight of this mantle, but do not be afraid. The same God who placed it upon you will strengthen you to carry it. He has not given you authority to overwhelm you, but to empower you. And as you continue to walk faithfully, that authority will only grow, shaping not just your life, but the lives of all who encounter you. Chosen one, hear this clearly. You are no longer in survival mode. That season has ended. You have endured the wilderness. You have walked through the valley. You have felt the silence of heaven and the weight of delay. But now, you are crossing into new territory. The atmosphere is shifting around you. What once resisted you will now yield. What once drained you will now overflow. The days of scraping by are being replaced with days of abundance. This is not empty promise, it is fulfillment. Every seed you planted in tears will now sprout in joy. Every sacrifice you made in silence is now remembered. Every prayer you whispered in the dark is now answered in the light. You are stepping into a land that has been reserved for you, prepared long before you could see it. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." End quote. Do you feel the weight of those words? The waiting season was never wasted. The lingering was not denial, it was alignment. The appointed time has arrived, and what once seemed impossible will now unfold before your eyes. You are not just crossing into new territory, you are crossing into fulfillment. Chosen one. New territory does not simply mean new places. It means new authority, new influence, new opportunities, and new blessings that flow without the resistance of old battles. You will find doors opening that no man can shut. You will walk into conversations you did not even know were possible. You will see resources align in ways you could not manufacture. This is the fruit of your endurance. But let me remind you, new territory requires a new mindset. You cannot carry the mentality of survival into the land of overflow. You cannot think small when heaven is calling you to expansion. You cannot cling to the scarcity of yesterday when abundance is knocking at your door. The new land demands new vision. Chosen one. Let your heart embrace this truth. You have permission to live fully. You do not need to apologize for stepping into blessing. You do not need to hide your light to make others comfortable. You do not need to feel guilty for walking in the overflow God has ordained for you. This territory is not stolen, it is given. It is your inheritance, sealed by heaven, and no force of darkness can take it from you. Now, as you step into this new place, I ask you to seal it with a prophetic act. Type the number 444 in the comments. This is not random. The number is a symbol of divine alignment, of heaven's order being established in your life. By writing it, you are declaring that you are in sync with the appointed time, that you accept the crossing into new territory, that you receive the inheritance heaven has reserved for you. Do not hesitate. This is your confirmation. The territory is before you. The season has shifted, and your obedience will open even greater doors. You are no longer wandering. You are no longer waiting. You are crossing into the land of promise, and heaven is watching to see you claim it fully. Chosen one. Rise and step forward. Your survival was the preparation. Your obedience was the key. And now, the land is yours. Chosen one. Lift your eyes beyond your personal battles and see the larger picture. What is unfolding in your life is not just about you, your obedience, your perseverance, your faithfulness in silence. They are all rippling outward in ways you may not yet comprehend. The shaking of nations has begun, and though it may look chaotic on the surface, it is divine alignment underneath. You are part of this shaking. When God raises a chosen one, it is never for isolation alone. You are not merely called to endure or to prosper personally. You are raised to be a signpost in turbulent times, a torch that illuminates the path for others when the world around them is trembling. Nations are being stirred. Systems are being disrupted. Old powers are falling. And new alignments are being birthed. And in the midst of this global shaking, your voice, your actions, your obedience carry significance. The prophet Elijah spoke, as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 21. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, follow him. This ancient call echoes now more urgently than ever. Nations stand at a crossroads, wavering between truth and deception, between light and darkness, between obedience and rebellion. And chosen one, you stand as part of heaven's response. Your life, your choices, your unwavering stand in the face of pressure, these are prophetic acts that ripple outward, influencing more than you realize. Think of the people who have quietly watched your endurance. They saw you hold faith when storms should have crushed you. They saw you refuse bitterness when betrayal came. They saw you rise again after losses that would have broken others. They may never tell you, but your example has been a testimony without knowing it. You have been shaking hearts, even as nations are being shaken. This is how heaven works. What begins in the secret life of one chosen soul reverberates into the collective destiny of many. The prayers you whisper for your family affect generations. The faith you exercise in your workplace shifts entire atmospheres. The obedience you walk in today becomes a seed for revival in places you may never step physically. You are more connected to the shaking of nations than you realize. Chosen one, do not be alarmed. When the shaking intensifies, structures will fall. Systems will collapse. Voices that once seemed unshakable will be silenced. But all of this is necessary. What is not rooted in God cannot remain. And as these things fall, new foundations will rise. You are part of that rising. The shaking is not punishment, it is purification. Nations are being stripped of idols. Communities are being shaken free of deception. Families are being called back to truth. And in the middle of this upheaval, those who are chosen stand firm, carrying light that cannot be extinguished. That light is in you. Beloved, you may think your role is small, but in heaven's eyes, it is immense. When you refuse to compromise, you hold back waves of corruption. When you walk in love instead of hatred, you dismantle strategies of division. When you pray in faith, you create openings for heaven's will to invade earth. This is how nations shift, not only by leaders in power, but by chosen ones standing firmly in obedience. So walk with boldness. The shaking you see is not the end. It is the birth of something new. And your faith is part of the labor pains of this birthing. You are not standing alone. Others across the earth are rising as well. And together, the chosen remnant becomes an unshakable force. Chosen one, do not fear the shaking. You were made for it. Your endurance is not only for your story, it is for the story of nations. and your obedience is the seed of transformation that heaven is planting into the soil of this trembling world. Chosen one. As the shaking intensifies, another challenge rises before you, the presence of counterfeits. For every authentic assignment, there will always be imitations. For every voice that truly speaks truth, there will be voices clothed in deception. The enemy fears the rise of the chosen, so he sends counterfeits to confuse, to distract, and to entangle. This is why discernment is rising in you. Now it is not optional, it is essential. The counterfeits do not always appear in obvious ways. They often come dressed as opportunities, friendships, alliances, or even mentors. On the surface, they look like blessing, but beneath the surface, their roots are poison. This is why your spirit has felt uneasy around certain people, even when they smiled at you. It is why some doors looked good but never felt right. Your discernment was already warning you, even when your mind wanted to ignore it. The Word of God declares in the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 15, "Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves." I, chosen one. This warning still speaks loudly today. Counterfeits are not just false prophets, they are also false friends, false opportunities, false comforts that appear to ease your pain, but ultimately derail your purpose. Their goal is subtle, not to destroy you instantly, but to delay you, to drain you, to distract you until you forget who you are. But hear this, your discernment is sharper now because of what you endured. Betrayal taught you to see past words and into hearts. Delay trained you to wait until God confirms, rather than rushing ahead. Loss revealed that not every gift is truly from heaven. These painful lessons were in fact sharpening your ability to recognize truth from deception. Chosen one, trust that inner stirring. When your spirit warns you, listen. Do not apologize for walking away from what does not carry peace. Do not second-guess yourself when God shows you someone's true intentions. Discernment is not suspicion, it is protection. It is the eye of heaven within you, guiding your steps away from traps. Understand this, counterfeits will always come before the real. The enemy wants you so entangled in the false that you cannot recognize the authentic when it arrives. That is why false alliances came before your true community. That is why fake opportunities appeared before the real door opened. That is why temporary comfort was offered before eternal strength was revealed. These were tests, and your discernment has been trained through them. Chosen one. You are no longer naive. What once deceived you cannot deceive you again. The spirit within you exposes what smiles try to hide. The word within you lights up paths that darkness attempts to cover, and the scars within you whisper reminders. Not everything that glitters is gold. Not every voice is truth. Not every embrace is love. Walk with this assurance. Heaven is guiding you. The same God who marked you has also equipped you to unmask deception. You do not need to fear counterfeits, for your discernment will reveal them. And when they are revealed, you will not falter, because your trust is no longer in appearances, but in the voice of the one who called you, chosen one. This season demands clarity. You will see faces for what they truly are. You will feel atmospheres shift and know why. You will sense motives before words are spoken. This is the gift of discernment rising in you, a gift forged in fire, meant to keep you aligned as you step into greater assignments. Do not be afraid of what is unmasked. Rejoice, for discernment is proof of your maturity, and it is the shield that ensures you keep walking toward destiny unshaken. Chosen one, the hour has come when silence can no longer define you. The battles you survived, the wisdom you gained, the authority now resting on your life, all of these have positioned you for boldness. There is no room left for shrinking back. Your voice must rise, not in arrogance, but in truth, not in noise, but in power. The world is waiting, and heaven is urging you forward. Chosen one, your silence was once your shield, but now it would only be a chain. The fire within you can no longer remain hidden. It demands release. Speak with the weight of heaven in your breath. Walk with the authority forged in storms. Rise, for your generation waits on your boldness. The ancient words in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, declare, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." This is heaven's command for you now. Be strong. Be courageous. Be bold. Your obedience is no longer just personal, it is generational. Your words carry weight. Your story carries healing. And your testimony carries power. You cannot hide what heaven has marked. Chosen one, there are those who desperately need the light you carry. They are wandering, stumbling, questioning why their lives feel heavy, just as you once did. Your boldness will become their confirmation. Your courage will become their awakening. Your story will tell them they are not alone. But if you remain silent, they may never hear it. That is why boldness is not an option, it is an assignment. And beloved, if these words pierce your heart, I ask you to let your actions mirror the stirring in your spirit. Press like, not for vanity, but as a signal that you are ready to walk in courage. Share this message so that others, too, may hear the call to rise. Comment below, "I choose my crown." Write it as an act of agreement, as a declaration that you will not step back into fear, as a statement that you embrace the mantle placed upon you, and subscribe if you have not already, so that you remain connected to a steady stream of reminders that will keep you aligned with your destiny. These are not small gestures, they are prophetic echoes. Every click, every share, every word typed is a seed that plants courage deeper into your own soul, a seed that sends ripples outward into lives you may never meet, a seed that strengthens the community of chosen ones across the earth. Remember, chosen one, boldness is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward even when fear whispers. Boldness is choosing obedience over hesitation, truth over silence, courage over compromise. Boldness is the mantle you now carry, and it must be expressed. The time of hiding is over. The days of silence are done. You cannot bury your fire, for it was not given to you for comfort, it was given to you for impact. You must declare. You must shine. You must step forward with the assurance that heaven backs every word, every step, every act of obedience you release. Chosen one, you have passed through fire, and now you carry flame. That flame is not for you alone, it is for the world that waits in shadows. Lift your head, open your mouth, and walk with boldness. for heaven has spoken, and your time is now. Chosen one. The path before you is no longer marked by hesitation. It is marked by unstoppable power. The seasons of endurance and silence have given way to a season where your very footsteps carry authority. What once intimidated you will now bow in your presence, not because of who you are in yourself, but because of the one who has clothed you in divine strength. You will begin to notice it in subtle ways. Doors that resisted you will open with little effort. Conversations that once drained you will now shift because your words pierce deeper than before. Places that once felt heavy will grow light the moment you enter, for your presence carries the fragrance of heaven. This is the evidence of unstoppable power at work. We find in the book of Mark, chapter 16, verse 17, "And these signs will follow those who believe. In my name they will drive out demons. They will speak new tongues." These words are not distant promises. They are your reality. Signs, wonders, and divine favor are not reserved for the few. They flow through all who believe. And you, chosen one, have been prepared for this very manifestation. The storms that once tried to crush you only refined the vessel, and now that vessel overflows with power. Understand this: unstoppable power does not always appear with noise. Sometimes it moves in silence. With authority so calm, it disarms the enemy without a shout. Sometimes it flows through a single word that cuts through chains. Sometimes it is revealed through simple obedience that triggers miracles unseen. This is the essence of walking in alignment. You do not chase signs. Signs chase you. Chosen one. You will walk in places where others fear to tread, and you will not be shaken. Darkness will attempt to intimidate, but you will remember the truth. It is already defeated. When you speak, chains break. When you pray, atmospheres shift. When you step forward, mountains tremble, not because of human strength, but because the Spirit of the living God moves through you. Do not underestimate the simplicity of your obedience. Sometimes the most ordinary actions release the greatest power. A prayer whispered in faith shakes entire households. A gesture of love disarms years of bitterness. A single word of truth exposes deception, rooted deeply. This is unstoppable power. It moves not by human design, but by divine orchestration. The authority you carry will also attract attention. Some will marvel at the change in you, sensing something they cannot explain. Others will resist, unable to endure the light. Do not be surprised by either. The power upon you is not for approval, it is for impact. Heaven did not anoint you to win applause, but to win battles. And remember this: unstoppable power does not mean an absence of challenges. Storms may still rise. Opposition may still come. But now the outcome is different. You no longer fight for victory. You fight from victory. The battle is already won, and you walk as one who enforces what heaven has decreed. Chosen one. Picture yourself as a torchbearer. Your flame is not fragile anymore. It is unquenchable. Winds may blow, rains may fall, but the fire will not go out. This fire is your testimony, your authority, your inheritance. It will draw those searching for light, and it will repel the shadows that linger too long. Do not shrink back from this power. It was entrusted to you because you endured, because you proved faithful, because you refused to bow to compromise. It is not arrogance to walk in what heaven has given you. It is obedience. And as you walk in it, you will see that unstoppable power is not only your portion, it is your destiny. Chosen one. Now we arrive at the unveiling of the final secret. All the trials you endured, all the storms that sharpened you, all the nights when you cried out in silence, they were all weaving together one great truth, the fullness of why you were chosen. You were not set apart only to survive. You were not refined only to carry wisdom. You were chosen to be sent forth, a living vessel of heaven's authority on earth. The secret is this: your life is not merely about you. It never was. Every battle you fought was not only for your own breakthrough, but for the breakthrough of countless others connected to your destiny. The storms you survived carved paths for those who will come behind you. The chains you broke will never bind your lineage again. The victories you won in secret will become testimonies that echo long after your steps have faded. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 16, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last." Chosen one. This is your confirmation. You were not chosen for a moment. You were chosen for fruit that lasts. Not fleeting influence, not temporary applause. But éternel impact. The seeds of your obedience will outlive you. The fire you carry will ignite others long after you are gone. Your legacy will not be measured by wealth or recognition, but by lives transformed. Destiny is unlocked, and chains broken because you walked faithfully. This is why your battles were heavier. This is why your nights were longer. This is why your calling felt like a burden too heavy for ordinary shoulders. You were carrying not just your own story, but the stories of those who would find freedom through you. Heaven trusted you with this weight because heaven saw that you would not quit. Chosen one. The unveiling of this secret must also awaken you to responsibility. You cannot live as though your choices affect only you. Your obedience or disobedience ripples outward. When you stand, others gain strength. When you fall, others stumble. This is the cost of being chosen, and also the glory of it. You are a link in a divine chain that stretches beyond time itself. Do not fear this weight. You have already proven you can carry it, and you will not carry it alone. The same Spirit that has sustained you will continue to guide you. The same God who appointed you will strengthen you for the journey ahead. The unveiling of the secret is not a burden, it is an empowerment. Now you know, you are chosen not for survival, but for legacy. Chosen one. Let your heart rest in this truth. You are not a mistake. You are not forgotten. You are not random. You are a vessel of eternal purpose, a carrier of unquenchable light, a voice that will echo far beyond your years. This is why you endured. This is why you passed the test. This is why heaven now whispers, "Go forth." For the world is waiting. Chosen one. Before we close completely, I want to speak directly to your heart. You have walked with me through every word, from the unveiling of your trials to the revelation of your crown, from the storms you endured to the mantle now resting upon you. You have heard heaven's voice reminding you again and again, you are not ordinary. You are chosen. And if this message has touched your spirit, if it has stirred something deep inside you that refuses to stay silent, then I ask you, let your response echo back. Press like, not as a gesture of routine, but as a declaration that you stand in agreement with the truth revealed here. Each like is not just a click, it is a mark of unity, a visible flame joining a greater fire of chosen ones across the earth. Share this message with boldness. Somewhere, someone is scrolling right now, questioning why their life feels so heavy, wondering if they are seen, if they are loved, if they have a purpose. Your share could be the divine appointment that awakens them. Do not underestimate the reach of your obedience. One simple act may change the course of a soul's destiny. And leave your comment below. Write with courage. Write with faith. Write with your whole heart. Your words are not just pixels on a screen. They are prophetic declarations, testimonies that may be the very encouragement another chosen one desperately needs to read today. Finally, subscribe if you have not already. Stay connected, stay aligned, and keep walking in this stream of heavenly reminders that speak life into your spirit. Chosen one, this is your hour. Stand tall, rise boldly, and let your voice join this chorus of light.